Pinball's pretty fun. I think most people would agree with that, and there's certainly been a fair share of pinball video games, but there haven't been as many games that take pinball and mix it with something else. Enter Yoku's Island Express, released in 2018 by developers Villa Gorilla. It asks the question of what would happen if we took pinball and fused it together with a side-scroller adventure game. What we get is definitely unique, and frankly, quite enjoyable. So let's take a look at this little indie adventure that brings a new interpretation to a classic game type. In Yoku's Island Express, you play as the titular Yoku, a little dumb beetle guy who takes on the job of postmaster on the island of Mukamana. What he thought was going to be a relaxing position, however, becomes a bit more hectic when the island's local god is attacked and wounded by a mysterious beast, and you need to traverse across the land to guard the local tribe leaders to save him. While saving the island and its inhabitants probably wasn't in the job description, Yoku is happy to help and roll his way across the land, meeting a variety of different characters on his journey. The plot is basic overall, but there is way more hidden lore and intrigue than I was expecting going into this. A lot less mail delivery though. Feels a little underutilized considering the premise. In order to accomplish this task, Yoku will find himself rolling around with his ball, launching himself through pinball contraptions to make his way around. While Yoku can roll his ball left and right pretty well, that won't be enough to traverse the windy pathways or vertical sections, thus he'll find himself in these naturally occurring pinball cabinets where you'll launch him with bumpers to help him traverse the island. And what a beautiful island it is! Yoku is a very nice looking game. The environments and backgrounds all have this painted look that really sells the lush natural feel. It isn't just limited to jungle or forest either. The island contains a few biomes that vary things up a bit and change the color palette. Even then, the game is very smart about its visual design. Regardless of what area you're in, the gameplay components of the environment always stand out and are easily readable. You could say the pinball bumpers stick out a bit unnaturally, but I think the readability here justifies it. And between Yoku's bright orange or his white ball, you'll always be able to identify them regardless of the environment and how fast they're zipping around, although you can unlock other colors for the ball. Overall, I would say the graphics strike a nice balance between being beautiful while also being practical for its game type. I'd also like to give my brief compliments to the character designs. You'll see various animal types as you roll around, and they all tend to look quite charming. While Yoku doesn't really get much in terms of his character, his constant smile makes him endearing nonetheless. The music here is also quite nice, whether Yoku's having a happy time exploring the forested areas, or a more somber time in the depths of the island's caves. The soundtrack does a good job of matching it with more acoustic instruments to suit the setting. The sound design is also solid when it comes to the pinball gameplay, though I think my favorite part of it might be Yoku's weapon of choice. Delving deeper into the gameplay, Yoku's Island Express is essentially what you get if you took a side-scroller and put in a bunch of pinball flippers and bumpers. It's pretty easy to understand. You have blue and orange to signify left and right bumper buttons. Yoku will go into a pinball zone, and you'll launch him around to activate switches or tackle obstacles. This can involve making him climb higher up to reach a new area, hit various gems to open up a passage. Early on, you get the ability to grab an exploding slug and use it to blow up obstacles. All the while you'll collect the game's currency, fruit, used to activate certain locked bumpers, and to buy stuff. The pinball gameplay actually stays pretty simple, but that's the joy of pinball. It doesn't need anything else overcomplicating it. Even with them keeping it simple, the game finds a way to keep things exciting, throwing in these really climactic moments and the rare boss fight. Yes, pinball boss fights. They're actually kinda cool. Don't worry about not being good at pinball though, as there's really no penalty for messing up besides losing some fruit. In terms of its broader gameplay, I've seen Yoku's Island Express be called a Metroidvania, but I wouldn't really agree with that personally. Although, as I write this, I've spent too much time trying to define the genre in my head, only to realize how vague it actually is, so to each their own. Regardless, as you play, you unlock a small handful of additional traversal options, but it's kept pretty simple overall, which I think is to the game's benefit. What may be the most important upgrade you get, right at the start of the game, is the party horn. Yoku doesn't attack people, or smack pots with his ball to break them. He wields a cute little horn that generates powerful enough sonic waves to shatter pottery for more fruit. You can blow it at any time, and there's something undeniably enjoyable about it. It's just so happy sounding. Besides that, there's value in exploration, as you can find chests with key items or fruit, the occasional side quests, including actual mail delivery, or you can find these little wickedlings scattered around and sacrifice them to empower a mysterious being. The good news is that besides one or two things, collecting everything here is pretty easy. Just be aware that some puzzles want you to grab a bomb slug and rocket jump with it to reach certain treasures. Honestly, I found those parts a little annoying with the required precision. Same goes for some of the pinball sections. Again, there isn't really a penalty, the game is very forgiving, but there will be some moments where you're asked to make a shot at a certain angle that you just can't get. But hey, you have unlimited chances, so it's hard to get too upset about it. Backtracking across the island is pretty manageable overall. You can unlock these launchers to shoot Yoku over great distances, and they cover most of the island pretty well, though some areas will still require you to do a little work to get back. The island's pretty small though, so it's never more than a minute or two. Overall, Yoku Island Express provides a short and sweet experience unlike no other. Its charming style and unique approach to pinball gameplay provide a memorable time. I was also pleasantly surprised by the unexpected depth in the story and lore. It definitely kept me intrigued with where it was all going. I'd love to see what other genres could do with an injection of pinball mechanics, but for now, I could be satisfied with Yoku being a party horde blaring example. So if you like pinball, weird Metroidvania adjacent games, or you just want something unlike anything else you've played, go play Yoku Island Express. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you liked it for some weird reason, consider leaving a like or comment. If you didn't like it, well, leave a comment anyways about what I did wrong. If you want to hear about more games I think are neat, or whatever random thing I end up making videos on, maybe also think about subscribing. Whatever you choose to do, I hope you have a nice day.